Some designs should have never left the drawing board, because when they do, they can turn even the MI6 into a butt of jokes. Today we will review 10 of the most hideous buildings that have turned heads for all the wrong reasons. Number 1 on the list is a luxury tower that's taller than even the Eiffel Tower. The building gives the feeling of a hideout for a supervillain straight out of a movie. This is the Ryugyong Hotel in North Korea. With a height of 1,000 feet, the Ryugyong Hotel was once the world's tallest unoccupied building. Despite being topped out in 1992, the skyscraper has remained empty ever since. In the meantime, the hotel has been repeatedly crowned as the worst designed building in the world, and also one of the ugliest. The building consists of 3 wings, each sloped at a 75-degree angle. Its monstrous size dwarfs almost any building in its surroundings. The tower's pyramidal shape is more than just aesthetic. Mountains play an important role in the country's symbolism, as Kim Jong-un was reportedly born in a military camp on the nation's tallest mountain. When construction began in the late 1980s, the hotel was planned to be a grand affair. It was designed to house at least 3,000 rooms and 5 revolving restaurants. However, none of these plans materialized. In 2008, its construction came at a cost of $2 billion, which was 5% of North Korea's GDP at the time. To make some return on investment, the government installed hundreds of LEDs on its facade. The giant concrete monster now entertains everyone with its colorful light display. Next on our list is a building that was once America's most expensive governmental building. We are referring to J. Edgar Hoover Building, the headquarters of the American FBI. In 2023, it was declared as the ugliest building in the country. The lack of detail and the exposed concrete make it seem like a cold and unwelcoming place. Now, in the FBI's defense, the building was constructed during the 1970s, and during that period, a style called brutalism was everywhere. To this day, you will find hundreds of buildings denoting this very pattern. So for its time, the FBI's HQ was considered stylish. It was thought that the building's bold facade made it seem like a strong and confident government agency. Yet in 2006, the American Institute of Architects wrote that it was a swaggering bully of the neighborhood, ungainly and ill-mannered. Our next candidate on the list has a lot of achievements. It's thought to have single-handedly destroyed the iconic skyline of Paris. If you're a Parisian or have ever been to Paris, you know we are talking about the Tour Montparnasse. It's the city's only skyscraper and is considered a blight on its iconic skyline. The criticism does make sense, as this is the usual architecture of Paris. On the other hand, there's the Montparnasse Tower. It looks completely out of place. From a certain angle, it even overshadows the historic Eiffel Tower. The tower's simple architecture, large proportions, and monolithic appearance has a huge part to play in this. After its inauguration in 1973, the tower received so much hate that the city council announced a ban on skyscrapers. It's true that tall buildings have a hard time being accepted in the Parisian society. The Eiffel Tower, for example, was also at the receiving end of ridicule from residents. However, today it stands as a much-loved symbol of French architecture. Sadly for Tour Montparnasse, the public opinion hasn't shifted to its side. For what it's worth, the building offers the prettiest view of Paris thanks to its incredible height. We now head out to perhaps the most bizarre, and some might even say, the creepiest structure on our list. Known as the Big Basket, the building's design is self-explanatory through its name. It's a 7-story structure and was once the headquarters of Longaberger Company, an American basket manufacturer. The building was designed to mimic the company's best-selling product, the medium market basket. In the mid-1990s, buildings of these kinds were seriously out of question. But the founder of Longaberger Company stated that if they can put a man on the moon, they can certainly build a structure that's shaped like a basket. With that, the landmark began construction in 1995 and was completed just 2 years afterward. To make it seem as real as possible, 2 large handles weighing 75 tons each were added. These handles were a major engineering challenge during the erecting phase. Both elements are heated to prevent them from freezing during winter. It's no surprise that the construction cost $30 million. The basket's eccentric design managed to turn quite a few heads, but as long as it was associated with Longaberger, its design was seen as a brilliant marketing plan. Disaster struck in 2018 when Longaberger Company declared bankruptcy. The basket's unusual design significantly reduced its sale price. In 2017, it was sold for around $1.2 million, 7 times less than the asking price of $7 million. This next building looks less like a building and more of a Transformers character. Known as the Aoyama Technical College, the design appears to be a cross between an insect and a motorcycle. The facility, located on a narrow street, contains classrooms, faculty space, and a gallery. Perhaps it's the location that makes it seem out of place. The surrounding buildings are way too close, and it's not allowing the design to do its magic. Through its chaotic appearance, the building not only stands out but also gives a thrill of excitement to anyone who sees it. Not our words, that's just what its designer said. Well, we can't confirm whether that's true, but the college does stand out, and not in a good way. Now, some buildings are made to look ugly on purpose. It's not even about making the structure more practical. There can be a ton of other reasons that are held a secret. On that note, let's discuss the MI6. You may recognize this building from the iconic James Bond movies. It's the headquarters of the British Secret Intelligence Service. Overlooking the beautiful River Thames, MI6's brutalist design provides a stark contrast to its scenery. From a distance, the building assumes the shape of a randomly organized pile of cardboard boxes stacked on top of one another. So what's the reason behind its weird shape? The building's layered, step design isn't just for aesthetics. It provides multiple defensive positions, making it harder to attack. It's essentially a functional fortress disguised as an office. But even as far as government offices go, the MI6 is quite different than what we see on Downing Street or any other office for that part. Many of them follow the typical Victorian-era style. The MI6 was built a little later, in 1994. It was designed by the late Terry Farrell, who wanted to give it an industrial, futuristic style. Some people love it. Others think it looks like a clunky Lego set. The MI6 has 60 separate roof areas and is covered in 12,000 square meters of glass and aluminum. The windows are triple glazed for security purposes. Moreover, the building's chaotic design can work to its advantage. Just by looking at it, it's hard to predict its internal structure, and the attackers can have a hard time. Would you call it ugly or just menacing? Let us know your thoughts below. Also, if you're new to this channel, don't forget to subscribe to Skybuilds. We bring 2 new videos weekly with the latest news in the construction industry. Another building that's purposefully made to look out of place is the UN headquarters in New York. If you look at it from a distance, it stands out from the usual thin and pointed skyscrapers in the city. It almost looks like a wafer in the air. But there's a reason why it looks like this. The UN isn't an American institution. It represents the world. So its design was meant to stand apart from typical American architecture to emphasize its international nature. The modernist glass and steel design, crafted by Le Corbusier and Oscar Niemeyer, was meant to look modern and neutral. The UN's creation after World War II was a symbol of post-war optimism. So the building was created in the modernist style, an emerging notion in architecture. A key feature of modernism was the use of glass, steel, and concrete. This would allow for more light and air in the structure. The UN headquarters, completed in 1952, was New York's first glass curtain building. With that, it became the first international-style building in the city. The sleek glass wall marked a radical departure from the Art Decos that filled New York. Since we are discussing New York, it would be unfair if we don't mention this next project. Many call it the failed Batman Tower or Temple of Doom, but officially it goes by the name Brooklyn Tower. With a height of almost 1,000 feet, the Brooklyn Tower is the tallest one in Brooklyn. It has 93 floors, and like most skyscrapers in the region, it's thin like a pencil. But that hasn't stopped New Yorkers from criticizing it. The tower's dark metallic color and lack of detail have prompted people to declare it a failure of imagination. What's worse is that the building is integrated at its base with the historic Dime Savings Bank. The style of both structures, separated by over a century, couldn't be more different. However, the project designers have tried to mimic some details of the bank in Brooklyn Tower. The use of marble on its entrance and the shimmering bronze color on its skin is a tribute to the legendary building itself. Not every eyesore is in America. There are some in other parts of the world too. Take the example of Prague, a stunning capital city with hundreds of jaw-dropping sights. But even a beautiful city like this can have an eyesore. It's the Žižkov television tower. At one point, it was ranked as the second ugliest building in the world. With a height of 700 feet, it's the tallest building in Prague and offers the highest viewing platform in the country. The TV tower was built between 1985 and 1992 and was much maligned at the time. Nearby residents complained that their historical neighborhood was being invaded by a piece of brutal, high-tech architecture. Even today, many locals aren't thrilled with it, but have come to accept, if not embrace, its charm. One of its most defining features is the addition of 10 babies crawling up the sides. As if the tower wasn't already weird enough to begin with, these sculptures have taken it a notch up. Our 10th and last item is a bit special. It's the winner of the Carbuncle Cup, an annual award given to the worst designed buildings in the UK. In 2010, it was awarded to a building in London called the Strata Tower. It won the title among 31 other competitors in the country. When it opened in 2010, it was hailed as a breakthrough in urban wind power. With 3 wind turbines on its roof, it supplies 8% of its electricity needs. Despite its uniqueness, the tower has been likened to an electric razor on more than one occasion. Do you think this criticism is valid? Let us know in the comments. Anyway, thanks for watching, and we will catch up in the next one.